pick some winners and then we say let's go. So come on. It's time to
Welcome into a Tuesday edition to begin our work week here for Betting Weekly Hardball. I'm Doug Kezirian alongside professional bettor Chris Macero. Hope everyone had a nice, safe holiday weekend, but we are down the home stretch for a couple sports. We got a bunch about to start with football. It's an exciting time of year for all sports fans, Chris, and also sports bettors.
Yeah, it's a great weekend of sports. There was a lot of good baseball, a lot of good college football. I had a lot of fun this weekend, a lot more fun than Bill Belichick had. I'm not sure what he's even doing anymore. I was tweeting out last night he should just retire, fake a heart attack or something. It would be believable. He looked terrible last night. He looked overweight, and I'm just not sure what's going on with that situation. But we got plenty of baseball to talk about today. Like you mentioned, a lot of close races. The American League East is tightening up, which is good for me. So I'm excited to see what happens tonight. A lot of good series.
Yeah, and some races that are surprisingly tightening up, at least surprising compared to about a month ago, are the MVP races in both leagues, not just the American League one that's obviously tightened up a few weeks ago. But I want to remind everyone, if you like what you hear on our show, sign up for the newsletter, get exclusive tips and the free Insider magazine. Sign up for free at bettingweeklystudios.com. If you are new to the program, we are every weekday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, talking some hardball here, and it is a sports betting show for the sports bettor. And I want to go to the Bet Rivers Futures Board with the awards market. We've talked about Judge and Cal Raleigh. I mean, Judge and Ohtani in each league were huge favorites about a month and change ago to win their respective league MVPs. Judge went to the underdog role. He's now back as a favorite, minus 250. Raleigh's plus 180. Now, it's interesting because voter fatigue factors into the equation. It just does, as nonsensical as some of these races are. You're handicapping people. So rather than, sports talk, who should win, judging from the tea leaves, Chris, is there still value in your eyes on Raleigh, even though he was like 100-1 at one point early in the season? But right now, if he hits a certain amount of, benchmark home runs, he might be enough to get it over Judge.
Yeah, well, last night he approached the plate with a 240 average, and I actually noticed it. And I said to myself, I go, if he doesn't get a hit here, he's going to be batting under 240. I don't think you can give the MVP to someone who's batting in the 230s. I don't care how many home runs he has. He's had a fabulous year, but right now the Seattle Mariners are in a huge swoon, and I could actually see them missing the playoffs. This team can't hit on the road. They're a complete struggle bus away from, Safeco. So I'm just not sure. I'm not even sure if the Mariners are going to hold on here. They got a couple teams chasing them down. Kansas City's been hot of late. Cleveland's taken a little bit of a step back. And I'll tell you another thing. Aaron Judge has the opportunity this, next couple of weeks to really stand out as the MVP. They're going through a murderer's row, 12 games, Houston for 3, Toronto for 3, Detroit for 3, Boston for 3. 12 games, toughest stretch of the year. And we know the Yankees hit terrible pitching, and that's what they do. They'll hit 9 home runs against Washington or 6 home runs against the White Sox. When they face good pitching, it's a totally different story. So we'll see. I wish there was someone else in the mix. And Judge is obviously cooled off with the injury, and Raleigh just doesn't hit enough. Besides, he hits all the home runs, but that's all he's doing. And it's tough to give someone the MVP when they're batting 230. So I don't know. I don't really think there's value on Raleigh due to that fact, but Judge needs to step it up, and maybe he can do it in this stretch. He's going to be marquee games the next 2 weeks.
I mean, Chris basically broke it down. You are, as a bettor, looking at these two prices and handicapping performance on the field, which obviously we're accustomed to doing on a daily basis with betting, but you're also handicapping how bettors would respond. I've done well with awards markets because of this. It's a tough read. I think the batting average will ultimately doom Raleigh in, and that's especially if they even make the playoffs, right? That's no guarantee. Same with the Yanks, technically. But Judge it's crazy because Raleigh is leading home runs and RBIs. And those are certain threat. If he hits 60 and he's at 50 dingers right now, it's really sort of just that it carries a lot of weight in that world. And maybe he hits like a dramatic ninth inning walk-off homer in the last week of the season, where here's Judge, who's flirting with the Triple Crown and can, even if he doesn't catch Raleigh, he can, I mean, heck, he could win the batting title, and he's a favorite to do so. So it is really a remarkable, remarkable run. I don't see value on either. I had a guy, a bettor I respect a lot, telling me to bet Judge at 105, minus 110 a week or 2 weeks ago when he just thought there was an easy stretch for them coming up. And they've obviously taken advantage of that stretch. I believe 1 of 7 of 8, but they were at the White Sox and things like that. But we'll see. Like you said, a tougher stretch. Now, the National League, something I never really thought was possible at all. Now I'm beginning to think, for the same reasons I said about Cal Raleigh, like Schwarber, if he hits a certain benchmark too, I'm beginning to think that, like, yeah, if he gets to 60 dingers or something like that, he's at 49. Ohtani's been great, but I think there's a voter fatigue component. I think what Schwarmer's done from a dramatic standpoint, I wouldn't lay 1667 with Ohtani.
No, definitely the values with Schwarber here. We talked about this last week. I think he could definitely win it. Ohtani, for as good as he is, he hasn't pitched that well. His team has a losing record in games that he's started. He's basically you can say it for what it is, but I think he's personally sabotaged the team's bullpen because all these games he comes out, he only pitches 1, 2, or 3 innings. That has taken its toll on a weak bullpen as it is. So in the games he's pitched, hasn't really pitched that great because he only pitched one inning. Teams aren't winning the games he starts. So the stats are pretty similar. I mean, Schwarber's got way more RBIs. Schwarber has a bunch of stolen bases too. And you know what? They say, well, Schwarber doesn't hit that great. He strikes out a lot. Look how many strikeouts Ohtani has. So, I mean, the stats are a lot more similar. And I think the dramatic moments have definitely been Schwarber's. I mean, the 4 home run game, all these walk-offs and the majestic home runs. He just seems like a great guy. Like, everyone loves him. I'm sick that the Red Sox just let him walk away for nothing. We signed Yoshida instead. Big mistake there. I think it's definitely value. I mean, plus 700, and who in their right mind is going to lay 1,700 the other way? So I would definitely take a little shot on this. I know he was a lot longer price a couple weeks back, but the month to play, if he can get to a certain number threshold of home runs, yeah, maybe they give it to him.
I agree. I think I would take a little nibble on Schwarber. It's frustrating because there are such big prices, but again, a lot's happened. Now you at least see a path for Schwarber where I really didn't anyone else. And would I love to have a huge price, 30 to 1 or something? Yeah, of course. But right now, today, based on all the data or input we have, the factoids, I do think there's a little value on Schwarber, but he needs to get going. And to your point, the Heisman moment, so to speak, that we know about in the Heisman Trophy betting in the race, I think some of those will certainly have an impact. So I don't know if the chalk's going to hold for both those MVP races. But let's turn the page. We got games and tickets that will get decided today that we want to attack. And let's start with the Yankees at Astros. Monster game in terms of big names. It's on TBS, so I imagine it's going to have a big handle. I mentioned the Yankees just taking care of business, had their 7-game win streak snapped. So they've been on a little bit of roll. First, Chris, I want to kind of break it down piece by piece because some of our audience may not be as experienced as you are or I am with sort of handicapping. So let's take a look at Max Fried here. He's going against Framber Valdez. Fried is back-to-back strong outings, 7 innings, 1 earned, 6 shutout innings against the Nats in Boston at home. But before that, he was absolutely inconsistent and really terrible by his standards. Do you think, given back-to-back good performance, he's kind of found his groove and regained the form that he had for the first couple months of the season?
I'm going to say not so fast. That Boston game, that was Sunday Night Baseball. Red Sox had already won 3 in a row. And I don't really give much credence to this national lineup. They're just not a good hitting team. They don't have anything going for them. They don't play well in their home ballpark. And to your point, before that, he had 15 earned runs and only 15 innings pitched. So a 9 ERA. So I'm not sold on it yet. This game's very interesting because Valdez is the same thing. He pitched 1 good game against Colorado, but before that, he had given up 19 earned runs and 23 1/3 innings. So, are they back? Are they not back? The total on this game is 7.5 or 8. I mean, it's screaming over to me. I know these guys have 2 good marquee type names from the past. I mean, I'm not saying that far back, but they just haven't been that type of pitcher this year. in that bandbox ballpark with two really solid offenses to only have a 7.5 or 8 total. I'm going to be on the Astros here, and I'm going to be on the over as well. I think, like I mentioned, this stretch that the Yankees are coming into, yeah, it's fine and dandy. You played 4 against Washington and 3 against the White Sox, or vice versa, 4 and 3, and you went 6-1. I just don't see it when they play better teams. The Yankees seem to struggle, and they're going to be playing 4 of the best teams in baseball over the next 2 weeks. I can anticipate the Yankees having a big time struggle here. Maybe they make it out of this little gauntlet 500. If not, maybe they get chased out of the playoff race. I know they have a 3.5 game lead on the third wild card, Seattle. The other 2 teams are a little bit farther back. This is a really, really tough stretch, and I'm just not so sure how good the Yankees do against better teams.
So you sort of took me to my next question about Valdez. He pitched well in his last game, but it was the Rockies, right? So
Exactly.
take it with a grain of salt. Okay, so you like the over? You think over? It's 8 right now. I bet Rivers over's only -105, but you like Houston here. I like the Yankees. I guess my question for you is, with the rationale, you said it's a big stretch and all that. How much does the upcoming games and everything factor into a decision today to bet on Houston with Valdez on the bump against Fried in the situation?
Well, here's a couple factors. The Yankees are basically 500 on the road. Houston's 12 games over at home. Houston won the last game. Yankees just lost to the White Sox. The biggest stretch of the year is coming up. And where was this manager last night? I don't know if you saw this, but Aaron Boone is at the UNC football game, strutting around with a North Carolina shirt draped around his waist. It just doesn't really signal to the team that he's got his mind in the right place. And I tell you, this is the biggest stretch of the season versus better teams. They don't play well. They kill bad pitching. They kill bad teams. Hit a bunch of home runs. I'm just feeling that this is a very tricky spot for the Yankees. You get a couple guys on the Astros that really hit Fried well too. Altuve 5 for 11 with a 4.55 average and a home run. Correa 3 for 9, and Jesus Sanchez 5 for 13 with a home run, 385 clip. I just think this is a bad spot. I could see the Yankees walking into a buzzsaw in the next couple games. Houston, obviously, they have the bad blood. These 2 teams in the playoffs in the past years. I just really like the fact that Houston's at home. Yankees might. I just something feels off about this Yankee team. Yes, they beat these bad teams, but we'll see what happens tonight. I'm going to be on the Astros and over.
All right, and we just want to remind everyone to get involved in the conversation. We want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. City by the Bay kicking us off. Hell yeah, baseball and college football has been treating me really well. Let's get some winners. I love the spirit, right? We're in the spirit of things. As for the games, we're actually, being specific here. City by the Bay likes Yankees over 3.5 team total. All right, maybe I can see that. So you like the over? It's not too long ago you and I were kind of criticizing this Yankees offense that it's judge and nothing. So things have changed in the last month or so. They've had some big performances, but when this team faces better competition, to your point on the Houston side at home plus 100, like the Yankees just don't execute, whether it's defensively, base running, they don't come up with the right place. Now Stanton getting hot has certainly helped the entire lineup, but overall this team's been shaky. So I'm a little gun shy just because it could be a little fool's gold with the teams they've been beating up on.
Well, I'll just take the better team, has a better home record, getting the plus money. Well, it's even, but plus money. And, maybe that over team total of the Yankees does go over. I mean, Caballero, Judge, and Stanton all have good stats against Valdez. Stanton 6 for 15 with the home run. So maybe there's going to be some runs in this game. I find the total a little low. I'm not so sure why it's that low. I feel like it's almost because the guys are named pitchers who are star pitchers in the past but have not had good years. So I expect some runs, and I'll take the home team with the better home record. Versus, the Yankees are always going to be overvalued. I mean, if you just played against the Yankees all year, you're up money. So they're always going to be the favorite. They're big time prices all season long. I don't see why the Yankees would be favored tonight. They don't have the pitching advantage. They're not at home. They're coming off a loss, and the manager was at a football game last night.
By the way, to answer your question, Yankees down 9.63 units this season if you faded them. And we were saying that even when they were in first place, middle of the summer, they were still down because of the big prices those big names typically have. The one on, the logo, the actual Yankee logo, and then, like you said, some of the bigger names involved, Fried being the pitcher as well. Let's talk about New York's other team because I think they're fascinating, as so is this rookie. Nolan McLean has been awesome. He's on the bump as the Mets are road chalk against the first place Detroit Tigers, largely because Detroit's throwing Sawyer, Gibson, Long on the bump. Here's McLean's 3 starts in the big leagues, 5 1/3 shutout innings. He did give up 2 earned in Atlanta, but went 7 innings, struck out 7. And then home to the Phillies, 6 shutout innings, which I thought was just awesome, with 6 Ks, baffling batters. So sometimes the market's really slow to react to a guy could be this good. We saw it with Mizorowski a little bit to start the year, right? Other times the pitcher comes back to earth, like Mizorowski has, and then some. Which is more likely, do you think, to happen tonight with McLean?
Yeah, the McLean has been lights out, like you said, 0.89 ERA in the 3 starts. The only thing that gives me pause about this game is Detroit has just been so good at home. Are they going to lose another one in a row at home? It was nice to see the Mets bats break out on the road. They've really struggled on the road, only 29 and 37. But I'm not going to back Gibson Long. He's had 2 starts, 4 hits. The first one, 3 earned, and then 6 hits and 4 earned. 11 and 2/3 innings, 7 earned runs, 5.4 ERA. Tough to back Detroit here, even though they do have a solid home record. I'm going to pass on this game for now. I'm leaning a little bit towards the Mets because I think they might be getting hot at the right time. I talked about it last couple of weeks. They're poised for a good run in September. A lot of these other teams seem like they may have already peaked, like Milwaukee. It seems like the leaking a little oil here in the back end of the bullpen. They can't get anyone out. Yesterday, Mizorowski staked to a 4-0 lead, and that thing just went up in flames quick. So I feel like the Mets are just about the right time to get hot and run through September. They got to get their road woes figured out, but it was nice to see them get a bunch of runs yesterday. I'm just not sure if I can pull the trigger. If the line was a little bit closer to a pick 'em, maybe, but laying 140 on the road against a Tigers team that's 18 games over 500 is a little tough to do for me.
Now, pitcher props are an option with McLean. There's been some steam on his over 5.5 Ks. That's gone from -105 to -157. And then over 16.5 outs at -136. So you don't have to worry about the Mets bats at all. Any interest in his pitcher props if he's the real deal?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that. These young guys, they're a tendency to take them out of the game early. And like you were saying about Mizorowski, he was all the talk of the town, and he's kind of fizzled out pretty quickly. He throws gas, but it's not the same. They get a book on these guys after a couple outings. They never saw the kid the first outing, then the second outing, and now they get a little bit of film on them. You got to just be wary. You get one of the better teams in the American League with the best home record on that side of the league, and you just got to be careful laying a big number with a rookie pitcher. I'm just going to steer clear of it.
And sometimes the pitcher comes back to earth, right? Like, they're human, and they're young, and they don't have experience channeling success and more media attention. It's a different animal, especially in the New York media. So I can understand the apprehension. I am going to get involved with McLean. I think he's been fantastic. I'm going to go over 16.5 outs, -136. He's legit, man. And like I said, his last game against Philly, I almost feel like he's settling in to a groove. And one of our commenters saying McLean's Mets ace, City by the Bay, thinks he's their ace now. And maybe he is. Maybe he's that good. I'm not saying he's Doc Gooden, but we all remember Doc Gooden being the ace when he was 20 for the Mets. He was an absolute stud.
I was speaking with somebody yesterday, a big Mets fan. Was hoping that Detroit, he keeps beating Detroit because he has a ticket for Red Sox to be the number 1 seed in the American League, which a long shot type of bet. But I was saying that's their biggest problem. They don't have an ace. And they've had the road woes. So maybe he is the ace. I mean, besides that, Peterson's pitched well at home, but they've had a lot of ups and downs of the starting rotation. And, to have somebody you can rely on every 5 days, to either stop a losing streak or continue a winning streak, that's very important. So maybe he is the case. I'm just not going to lay it on the road. But hey, I could see him coming out and having another great start. Sometimes Detroit doesn't hit that well. They've had some lulls in the season where the bats haven't been too hot. So yeah, all the power to you.
Okay, so I'm rolling with McLean here as my first play officially of the day. Let's go to the Red Sox. You just mentioned them. Garrett Crochet on the bump at Fenway as Boston hosts Cleveland. Big favorites with a low total. So I wonder if the market thinks Crochet is going to pitch well. Minus 250 with an over/under of 7.5. Now Guardians have shown some life of late. Crochet's been fantastic. He's applied heat with Skubal, by the way, the AL Cy Young race. That's how good he's been when Skubal was such a big favorite. And now, I mean, he's essentially had one bad outing over the last 2 months. Red Sox are really good at home. We've touched on it. A conventional play or a common play in this situation is run line -1.5, -117. Boston had some troubles at home with the Pittsburgh Pirates, but Crochet's on the bump here. How would you look at this one?
Yeah, I would be on the Red Sox or pass. Obviously, it's a big number, but I kind of like the way this game is shaping up. You got Ciccone, who's pitched more innings pitched this year than his 2 years combined previously, and I think he's just kind of running out of gas. He's got a 5-6 record, 4.41 ERA. He's got 18 starts, but his last 5 starts, his ERA is 6.31. And I just think the Red Sox, they had a little struggle with Pittsburgh. They got the win on Sunday. Yesterday, Cleveland could have had them on the ropes. Bayo didn't have it early. They left a million guys on base. They're just not hitting well. The last 10 games, Cleveland's hitting at a 170 clip. They have 6 straight losses on the road. They've lost 2 in a row overall. Like you said, at home, Red Sox have been solid, 43-27. Cleveland 2 under on the road. I just think Crochet gets it done here. You lay the minus 250. Yeah, it's a big number, but I think he's going to win this game more times than not. And, Boston, they got the 2-game winning streak. Maybe they ride through this section here. Then they got some easy games coming up. They're playing Colorado. They got the White Sox. So time to make up some ground against Toronto, who's at Cincinnati right now. A little bit tough schedule for them. And we already touched on the Yankees schedule, which is Murderer's Row. This is an opportunity for the Red Sox to inch a little bit closer in the division race. And I'm not sure if I'm going to lay it, minus the 250. Maybe look for a parlay with some other games on the board. But I really think the Red Sox get the job done tonight.
I do too. I'm actually going to do the run line. That doesn't scare me. Home team. This Boston team can get to a pitcher, and if Crochet's locked in, he doesn't really do the 6 innings 4 earned kind of outing. He does these 7 innings no earned or 1, or like I said, 1 bad outing in the last 2 months. So I don't really get scared of this. Some people would do first 5 -0.5. Like, okay, I just think the Red Sox bats will get to the Guardians. And like you said, they blew it yesterday. I think there's some positive juju with Boston. They got the stench from the Pittsburgh series off with the comeback on Sunday to avoid the sweep. So I'm going to roll with the run line here with Boston -117. I just can't be afraid when you do this in this situation. You have to just have belief in the Crochet and the pitcher to do it. And I do. He's that special. I really think he's been that great.
Yeah, right on the heels of Skubal for Cy Young. There's a possibility that he could pull off the Triple Crown. He's 214 Ks, which is second. ERA, like we mentioned, 2.40, really solid year. He should have a lot more wins. There were earlier in the season where they just didn't get the run support for him, especially at home. So we'll see what happens. The opponent's only batting 100 against them, 2 for 20, small sample size. This Cleveland team just doesn't hit. So as long as the Red Sox can get to Ciccone, which they should be able to, because lately he hasn't been good, I really think this is should be an easy win for the Red Sox.
The Red Sox lineup with Anthony now, since him, like they've actually have some bats now. That I feel like there's balance in the lineup. They can get some runs, especially at home. So I'm pulling for your Boston Red Sox tonight. The Rangers are back from the dead, hottest team in baseball, 6 straight wins. Now a game and a half back in the wild card race. All of a sudden they have an offense. All of a sudden, maybe better late than never, I guess. So they're on the road in Arizona for an interleague game. We don't know who's going to start for Texas, but Nabil Chrismat going for Arizona. This guy's a journeyman reliever who's now starting for the first time at age 30 in his career. And he's actually had decent numbers So I'm always a little gun shy because I do believe in coaching, right? Like I do believe guys can develop over their career. Obviously, they're not prodigies, but sometimes they can add a pitch and things like that. I think Assad added some pitches in the minors when he was with the Cubs earlier in his career. So some guys can develop. Maybe they are starters. So if I just don't think it's going to be a beat down by Texas because they're on a roll or anything like that. And I don't know who's pitching either. But Chris, I know you're big on win streaks and losing streaks for that matter. Rangers $7 on the road. They've won 6 straight, but we don't even know who's starting.
Yeah, it's a tough one for me. Obviously, there's no pitcher. This is the spot for Evaldi where he's out for the year now. Tough loss, which makes no sense. Evaldi goes down, and what happens? They win 6 in a row. They've won 4 in a row on the road, which has been their biggest trouble all year. They're still, even with those 4 wins in a row, they're still 10 games under 500, 30 and 40. Yeah, to your point, Chris Matz pitched pretty good, a 1.84 ERA in the 3 games. Tough to have a play on the game without a pitcher. I don't want to back Texas because every time I've been, bullish on Texas, they're finally going to turn it around. They go on the road and end up losing 3 in a row. So I'm just going to steer clear of the game. Maybe if I see who the pitcher is, maybe make a little change in my opinion at that point. But right now, yeah, it's tough to back. You wouldn't want to back Arizona team. Texas on a 6-game winning streak. Arizona's lost 2 in a row. Arizona playing up the string here. They're feisty sometimes. It was nice of them to get 2 out of 3 versus the Dodgers. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here. I got to see who the pitcher is first.
Yeah, I do agree that feisty is a good word for Arizona. They started the weekend series with back-to-back 3-0 wins. Impressive. Dodgers base running was pathetic. Kike Hernandez not sliding at home on a sacrifice fly. It's just embarrassing as a Dodger fan watching this putzing around and doing things. But like you said, like we've said before, when we have 18-1 on the Padres, not the worst thing to witness. Some other games I want to touch on. This one's really compelling with the pitching matchup. Mariners at the Rays. Wu going for Seattle, Rasmussen going for Tampa Bay, and he's been fantastic of late. So over under feels a little high at 8. When you have an 8, and as long as one team doesn't go crazy offensively, you really just need one pitcher to have what we expect from both guys. Tampa's got the better pitcher in my eyes and the better lineup as of lately. But Seattle's the favorite at -118. I'm on under 8, -115 here. I don't want to overthink this. I think both guys are legit, especially Rasmussen. He's been a guy I've been going to the bank with or going to the window with at least a little bit lately. And this Rays lineup's been nice. So I don't want to get off this train. This guy's got a 2.64 ERA, just flying completely under the radar. I think we're looking at like a 5-2 game. Maybe the Rays win.
Oh, I would definitely be on the Rays. I'll probably be on the Rays. I'm not saying like the biggest bet, but I'll be on the Rays. I was on the Rays live last night. You could see it. They were hitting the ball solid. The only thing for you with the under there, it's tough to bet an under in that stadium.
Yeah.
It seems like the ball just jumps off the bats there. Yeah, the ball was flying all over the park last night. The Rays put up a bunch of numbers. And for another thing, to go devil's advocate with you here, Wu has a kind of a decent sample size against the Rays lineup, 10 for 29 at 345 clip. So I'd be a little worried. The Rays are just another streaky team. They've won 4 in a row. Seattle feels like a little bit in disarray. Not a good road team at all. I don't really have a feeling on the total. I'm going to be on the Rays again. 4 wins in a row, playing good at home. Bats got really going last night. Don't like Wu's numbers as much on the road. 4 and 5, 3.48. Almost a half a run higher, actually over a half a run higher on the road than at home. And like I mentioned, that 10 for 29. So a couple guys, Josh Lowe's hit him well. Andy Diaz has hit him well. I like the Rays to get another win tonight. Keep the win streak going.
All right, some guys chiming in the chat section. Amish Farmer says Rasmussen historically is lights out against Seattle. And then City by the Bay says lifetime ERA 0.44 against the Mariners. The last time Rasmussen has given up over 2 earned, end of June. So this guy's been just so reliable and steady Eddie. But like you said, it's a solid lineup that can get streaky, especially in that ballpark in Florida, very minor league ballpark. So we shall see in that game. Cubs hosting the Braves. Imanaga going for Chicago. Wentz going for Atlanta. Cubs solid home favorites, $1.67. You get the feeling they've solved those hitting woes that were plaguing them in August when they started August with like, what was it, like 16 of 18 to the under, something ridiculous like that. 8.5 total in this one, but like I said, a pretty big chalk here at 167. The Braves, obviously not a good year. Very disappointing, all that stuff. But they've shown some life over the last few weeks that they're not an automatic fade like they were during stretches this season.
Yeah, this is one of those games where you just kind of go back to what happened yesterday, and you can say momentum is only as good as the next day's starting pitcher. But when you have a 6-1 lead and you blow that game, and you're already out of the playoff race, and you're 14 games under 500 on the road, this is one of those games where you just kind of, hey, let's just ride the Cubs the next game. They got a great comeback, walk-off win last night. Bats are going again. You got a decent starter, Imanaga, back on the hill, 8-6, 3.08, even better at home with a 2.96 ERA. He also pitched a scoreless 5 innings against the Braves last year, albeit they got 7 hits and 3 walks off of him, but it was 5 scoreless last year when he faced the Braves. And Braves 29-43 on the road. Their starter Wentz, he has 8 starts at 4.92 ERA. When Wentz pitches against a light hitting team, 2 times against Miami, Cleveland, Kansas City, pitches pretty good. When he goes up against the big boys, the Mets or Milwaukee, not so much. And I feel like the Cubs getting the bats going again. I'm going to be on the Cubs. It's a little hefty of a price, but I just like the fact that they came back, walk-off win at home, 42-25 at home. Braves terrible on the road. Let's go with the Cubs to get another win and extend the streak to 2 wins in a row.
All right, fair enough. And with that collapse yesterday, the Braves, very dramatic, but I botched it. The Braves are now down the most units of any team if you bet 1 unit on them every game this season. So they're down more than the Colorado Rockies. It was the Rockies all year, but now it is the Atlanta Braves who've been the biggest money pit, or whatever you want to call it, in baseball, down a little over 28 units. The Rockies 27.33. So hope people aren't betting on those 2 teams all year. We know the Colorado Rockies were historically bad, but because of the money line, especially at the beginning of the year for the Braves, they've been the biggest loser this season. A team that's been absolutely on fire of late, and hope people are betting them, is the San Francisco Giants. I have picked my spots with them, but they just taken care of business. I was a little reluctant yesterday against the Rockies because of Coors Field and whatever, and the Giants have been just crushing teams at home. They took care of business yesterday. Now they're 235 favorites with Logan Webb on the bump against Kyle Freeland. San Fran's won 8 of 9. I'm going to do the run line. Again, not overthinking this. This team, they're hitting. Devers is actually hitting. There's a lot to like. It's still a big juice price with 1.5. I'm actually going to pause for a second and look at the 2.5 while I let you have the floor and consider taking, how you would approach this game.
Yeah, Devers has been on fire. We mentioned him last week. He's just been totally different hitter the last couple of weeks. I actually have the Giants for most wins in September. I wish they saved some of those wins at the end of August for this month at 40-1. So we got off to a good start yesterday, 1-0. Webb 12-9, 3.16 ERA. We know he struggles a little bit more on the road, but he does have good stats against the Rockies lineup. Only a 191 clip for the Rockies against Webb, 13-68. Freeland's been in disaster all year, 3-13, 5.28. Even worse at home, 1-5, 6.36. Hey, maybe you put together a parlay, Red Sox and Giants. They keep the winning ways going. It's probably close to even money. Freeland does have okay stats and a big sample size against the Giants, 31 for 123, 252. But obviously this would be Giants or pass, not going to back the Rockies, 26 games below 500 at home. Just a miserable year. And for a team that, plays in Colorado, they can't really get the bat on the ball. They just don't hit very many. They don't hit many home runs. They just don't do much of anything good. It's just, a lost season for the Rockies.
It's been bad, and their front office is bad because they have nothing coming down the pipeline of the minors. It's just, I don't know where they're turning things around anywhere. They brought up a couple guys who've been, lit up. They don't have McLean or Mizorowski's in their farm system coming up. It's been bad. very bad for this year. So I'm going to go officially San Francisco -2. So just -2, no hook, -120. You can just on the Bet Rivers app, it's a sliding scale, an integer line, if you will. So you can just move it left and right to get to that price for the Giants. Couple games I know you wanted to touch on. Blue Jays visit the Reds. Barrios on the bump for Toronto, first place Toronto, that is. But the Reds with a dramatic victory yesterday, and one of the worst beats you'll ever have if you had the under with 1,000,000 runs in the ninth inning. So really painful for a total pitcher's duel. But you had to expect that was potentially going to happen. Maybe not in that fashion, but at least extra innings with the ghost runner. Coin flip game here, 8.5 your total. What are you seeing here?
Well, same strategy as the Braves Cubs game. It's one of those ridiculous, crazy comeback stories where you're up 2-1 in the ninth. You give up the home run, you give up another home run. Now you're down 4-2, and you come back and win the game. So maybe it's just the momentum. And I've mentioned this on the show many times. The Reds are a very streaky team. They win 5 in a row, then they lose 4 in a row. Then they win 6 in a row, then they lose 5 in a row. Very streaky team. They've won 2 in a row now, so maybe they get it going again. I'm not a big fan of Barrios. I actually did have the over yesterday, which was crazy enough in this game, and I was very happy that the Blue Jays lost because the Red Sox got to pick up an extra game. So I'm going to be on Lodolo and the Reds. I like the momentum factor. Blue Jays have been scuffling a little bit. They've had a lot of lucky streaks all year. They're one of the best teams in one-run games. So for them to lose a one-run game was nice to see for my sake. But I'm going to be on the Reds here. Just a momentum play, just like the Cubs game. 2 teams with walk-off wins yesterday. I think they both get the job done today.
Right. I'm right there with you. I think it's a good momentum play. So we'll see if the Cubs with their comeback can continue the momentum, and you like the Reds as well. Dodgers and Pirates. Kershaw going for LA. Mladzinski going for the Bucks. We touched on Pittsburgh and how they did okay at Fenway Park. All things considered, Dodgers continue to be heavy chalk in this betting market of baseball. Just crazy that they lay such big prices despite not being that productive and that effective of late last month or so. And they're down 10 units this year. So even though the Dodgers, who are almost 20 games above 500, 19 games, they've been down 10 units. You bet on them every game. How would you read this game?
Well, I'm going to go with the Nerfy here. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce Ladzinski's name, but he's been pretty good. He's an opener. He only pitches 2 or 3 innings. Sometimes he comes in. He's the second guy in the opener. This time he's the first one, but he doesn't really give up runs his first inning. And Kershaw has been lights out this year. Pirates a light hitting team, so I'm going to go with the Nerfy. It's only -110. I kind of want to play the Pirates. But Kershaw's just been so solid, especially on the road, 2.68 ERA. And the Pirates is such a light-hitting team. I could maybe get to the Pirates. I lean towards them just due to the fact you're getting plus money. The Dodgers are 500 on the road. Hey, and the Pirates, look at this. They're 9 over at home, 39-30. So pretty good stats in the Pirates' favor, getting some nice plus money. I'm going to go with the Nerfy for now. Maybe I can get to the Pirates later. I would definitely not lay the Dodgers at any of these crazy prices, like you said. They're just the Dodgers are pretty much a little bit over 500 team since June 1st, and they're just getting bet like the games are already over. I just don't understand it. They haven't been hitting, haven't been clutch. The back end of the lineup is terrible. The bullpen's atrocious. I just don't understand these prices. I might get to Pittsburgh, but as of right now, I'm going to play the Nerfy -110.
All right, so they're the first game on the slate, first game on the card, and your Nerfy actually at Bet Rivers get a little bit better price, -107. So that's good stuff. So a lot of plays, a lot of breakdown, even the futures market. Pretty full show we had. And Chris, you and I back at it tomorrow. So you and I will run it back tomorrow on Wednesday. Hopefully we did well. We can build on the momentum. But crazy things happen in baseball, so there's no guarantee of that. Just a reminder, I'll be on Betting Weekly Fast Break, top of the hour with Albert Nguyen, and also known as Analytics Capper. We're going to break down a couple late games in the W. Also look at some futures market where there are 9 teams still alive for 8 playoff spots. Really, 3 teams for 2 playoff spots at the bottom of it. So we'll break that down top of the hour. But yes, Betting Weekly Hardball rest of the week, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Chris and I back at it tomorrow. We want to wish everyone successful football season coming up as well. But for Chris and everyone behind the scenes who does such a fantastic job, I'm Doug Kezirian, and we'll see you back here next time.